Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we're doing another edition in my series of underrated CDs from my collection. If you've seen the other editions in this series, you know the deal by now. I just pick 5 random CDs from my collection that I feel are either an underrated album or maybe a band that's underrated, or just an album that's underrated in the scheme of the band's discography. Just albums that maybe I don't talk about as much on the channel that I want to spotlight and maybe turn you on to some new stuff that you haven't listened to before. So without further ado, let's just get right into this. So the first one that I got up to date is Emyn Muil with their debut album, which I am sure to pronounce, Turin, Turambar, Dagnir, Glaurunga. That's my best attempt at it there. There's the booklet, really awesome, the big dragon, the guy fighting it there. As you can probably guess from the album cover, this is some epic atmospheric black metal, very much summoning worship. This is all themed around Tolkien's works, Lord of the Rings, all his other works as well. And this is, yeah, like I said, just in the same style as Summoning, but maybe a lesser known band here. This is a one-man project from Italy. And while I say it is like summoning worship, he does do his own thing here too. This isn't just a pure knockoff. He still adds his own touches and his own style here. And it's just a really well done, enjoyable album. This project only has 3 full lengths to date. This is the debut. And this is, well, I don't know if it's my favorite one by him, but they're all really solid. Could have picked any one here. Just went with this one. This is maybe the most well-known of the 3, but I feel like this project needs more love. Definitely an underrated one. If you're into any of that style of like really grandiose, epic, atmospheric black metal like Summoning, Caledon Brood, bands of that nature, definitely do not skip these guys either. Go give them a listen. Emyn Muil with the album that I cannot pronounce. But yeah, go give this one a listen if you have not. So I should have shown the back of the CD there too. All right, up next, we're going to go with some death metal with Origin and their album Echoes of Decimation. This is, I believe, the 3rd full length by these guys. And wow, this one just non-stop blast beats, super technical, like sweet picking. Really awesome stuff. You got the evil looking album cover there. Here's the back of the CD too. If you haven't heard this band before, this is really like brutal tactical death metal. Tech death is not necessarily a genre I gravitate too much towards, especially these days, but Origin is a band I've always really enjoyed, mostly because of their live shows. I've seen them a handful of times and they always just absolutely kill, really get the crowd going. And this album is one of my favorites by them. I think my all-time favorite by them is Antithesis. This was the album that was right before that, and you could kind of see the direction and the growth they were going from. Like, if you listen to their debut album, it's a lot slower paced, not nearly as technical, and then by the next album, which was Informatas Inhuman, oh, I can't even remember how to say it. Their second album that all starts with Eyes started their growth, was really solid as well, and then here on this 3rd album, they really found their form. This is when they still had James Lee on vocals. He only did the vocals on like their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th albums before leaving. And wow, his vocal delivery here is absolutely insane. Go listen to the song Amoeba to hear some of the most lyrics packed into a small amount of space. Really short and really punchy. It's just amazing. He hits really high pitches but does the low gutturals as well. Really kind of does his vocal patterns to the riffs. And it's just really well done. Favorite tracks here like Reciprocal, Amoeba, like I said, the title track, Echoes of Decimation. Really awesome stuff. If you haven't given them a chance before, definitely go check them out, especially their older material, like from album 2 to album 4 is top-notch stuff. Go check them out. All right, up next, a band that definitely is not underrated, but the album I'm talking about, I feel, is underrated in the scope of their discography, and that is Iced Earth with the Crucible of Man, Something Wicked Part 2. So this was the album that saw the return of longtime vocalist Matt Barlow after he had left and Tim Ripper Owens had come in to do a couple albums. And this is actually the last album that he was on before Stu Block joined the band, who's also now gone, of course. But yeah, it seems like from what I've seen other people talking about Iced Earth, this album seems to get a lot of hate. And I don't think it's nearly their best or even necessarily in their top 5. I don't think this is that bad of an album. I really dig it. You got really good songs like Behold the Wicked Child. Divide Devour is absolutely crushing, fast, thrashy song. Come What May is a nice like ballad-esque song to close it off. Like all in all, I mean, it continues to Something Wicked trilogy really nicely. I think it's a good way to wrap that like concept up, and like all in all, I think this is a pretty decent album. I mean, Iced Earth probably doesn't need any introduction here, but yeah, go give this a listen if you haven't. If you haven't listened to it in a while because it wasn't on par with some of the others, go give it another chance. Like I said, I'm not saying it's their best album ever, but I feel like it gets some undeserved hate and is actually a pretty decent album. All right, up next, I am going with Ancient Mastery and their album Chapter 2, The Resistance. So this one actually was in my top 10 albums from last year, and I want to talk about it again because I feel like this album is still not getting enough love. This is a one-man project from Austria. It's like epic black metal mixed with some hints of power metal with some of the guitar riffs. Like there's synths and keyboards as well. And probably the fact that this came out in December of last year, that's never a good time to release an album. That's probably why it got overlooked a little bit, and I haven't really seen too many other people talking about this. But wow, like this album, it's a concept story. It's only 6 tracks, absolutely amazing stuff. Like I honestly cannot pump this up enough. If you're into any sort of epic black metal, like he's got that really nice dirty rasp. It incorporates some female vocals as well, which kind of bring in like, almost sounds like a bard singing in a tavern, like a tavern wench. It just gives it that medieval atmosphere, and it just mixes in with these like power metal style riffs. Like the song The Uprising has these really like Maiden-esque leads, but then with the black metal rasp coming in, it's just a match made in heaven. Like honestly, you gotta go check out this album if you haven't. I feel like it's still underrated, a little bit under the radar. Ancient Mastery, only 2 albums to date. This is their second, which I do think is a step up from the debut. The debut's great as well though, so yeah, go check out Ancient Mastery if you have not. And now last but not least, we're going with some more death metal with Hypocrisy and their debut album Penetralia. So Hypocrisy as a whole, probably not underrated, but they got a lot more notoriety and fame from their later day when they converted to more of like a melodic death metal band, whereas in these early days, this was just straight ahead old school death metal. At this point, their vocalist, why can I not remember his name? Let's see if it says it here. Massey Bromberg, who then left to join like Dark Funeral, and like this is just absolutely crushingly heavy stuff here. Got songs like Impotent God, Burned by the Cross, God is a Lie. Fuck, heavy ass death metal, really amazing, awesome stuff. Can't really emphasize enough just how great these riffs are, how heavy this album is. This is a different sounding Hypocrisy than their later days. This is my favorite era of the band, this and the follow-up Osculum Obscenum, I believe it's called. I'm just drawing blanks on my info here today, so I apologize for that. Some albums I haven't listened to in a while, but yeah, Penetralia, probably my favorite Hypocrisy album. It's a toss-up between this and the Sophomore, but yeah, go check this out if you have not. If you've only heard newer Hypocrisy, this might sound like a little bit of a shock to you when you first put it on, but yeah, absolutely killer old school death metal here. Awesome stuff. So anyways, those are my 5 picks for today. Let me know what you think of all these albums down below. And until next time, Hammerheart Metal Reviews out.